Welcome to the parking lot of the YMCA where I am nursing my child who just screamed for the last 15 or 20 minutes inside the YMCA because I wouldn't sit on a block while nursing her. Parenthood's fun. I don't know when I will actually be able to sit down and record my thoughts. Things have been hectic. My daughter had a fever for like the last 3 days, and I was just stuck under her on the couch nursing all day long. So I haven't really had a chance to get shit together with my vlogging. Uh, New haircut. Obviously, my hair is not long anymore. Pretty stoked about that. Um, I don't know what else to say. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try and get my shit together so I can record the rest of my vlog later today, but if not, then I will be recording from California instead of Wisconsin because I'm taking a plane tomorrow, so we'll see. Okay. For
Mommy.
like evidence of differenceness, that's not a word. Snow exists here. Where I'm going, there is no snow. So, yeah. Look, remember I'd promised it wasn't snowing in California? It's not. So, I made the mistake of thinking that I could get all this done while on vacation. I don't know what I was thinking with that. It's been like non-stop go, go, go the last 4 days, or however fucking long it's been. So, I haven't had any time to vlog at all. Yep. But I'm here. um, yep. I guess our topic will be boundaries. Just because that is something that I'm helping someone else deal with, someone else create and maintain, because they aren't particularly good at personal boundaries. So, when it comes to boundaries, you really have to figure out what your needs are and what you're wanting, and then identify the things around you that aren't serving that. I mean, some people are really good at just being like, this is where I'm laying down a line. And some people don't really have any idea what they're needing to, where they're needing to set boundaries or how they're needing to distance themselves from certain things or certain people. They don't realize what isn't serving them well. And so it can be a journey to figure that out. But it's an important step to take because before you are able to set healthy boundaries in life and in relationships, you aren't really able to get to a happy, healthy state within your mind and just like in your daily life. Without setting healthy boundaries, you're kind of just opening yourself up for chaos. And it can go downhill really fast if you're not careful. So setting boundaries and learning a good way to maintain those boundaries even when people don't want to respect them, and even when you feel bad about it with certain people or whatever, when there's difficult situations, like learning how to stay strong and be like, no, this is where the line is really important, for your own personal health and self-care. And that is top priority for everything, in order for you to live a happy life and for you to maintain healthy relationships, your self-care needs to be top priority. And boundaries is the biggest part of that. I mean, this topic really came up because I have a friend who is an addict, and with them, it's even more important to set boundaries because otherwise they fall back, they relapse, they fall back into bad habits. And without learning how to set and maintain healthy boundaries, they're going to just keep cycling through and they're never going to be able to move forward and progress in life. And it's sad because that happens to a lot of people. And a lot of people who aren't addicts, just normal people, in relationships where you kind of cycle through the same thing, whether it's with the same partner and you just keep cycling through this, same crap over and over, or you get to a point where your relationship is ruined and then you find another relationship and then you go through the same shit with them. And it just happens over and over again because you haven't learned how to set boundaries properly yet. And I feel like a lot of times nobody really talks about it when you're a kid, which is something that I've been trying to be very conscious about with my children is, acknowledging that they need to be able to set their own boundaries and helping them learn, what those are and how to communicate that properly without violence, and, you know, how to be patient and, with themselves, and like just help them figure themselves out and what they're needing, and since a lot of us, at least me, I never learned boundary setting as a kid. I didn't realize that was a thing, and I just wanted people to like me. And so I just kind of was like, I'll just go along with what other people want, and it made me miserable. And sometimes I was happy making other people happy, but then I was like, there was still a part of me that I was like, this doesn't feel right, and I couldn't figure out why. And now that I'm older, I understand that, it's because I didn't have a set of boundaries that was keeping me safe, that was keeping me happy, that was maintaining my health so that I could, be a part of other people's lives and have healthy relationships. And I've gone through a lot of toxic relationships, friendships, and romantic partners and all sorts of things, and it's really boiled down to the fact that I haven't been able to set and maintain boundaries. So that's been something I've been working on a lot lately. And at this point I feel like I'm pretty rock solid with the concept. And with people I don't know as well or whatever, like I feel like I'm good at setting things initially, but with family, like, I'm visiting family. With family, it can be hard to set boundaries when you've when you're really close with somebody and you've known them a long time and there haven't been really any boundaries up until this point, and it's hard to establish those in old relationships. With new relationships, you can just like from the beginning be like, this is where the lines are, and that's it. And it's very blunt and clear, and it's easier for me that way. But with relationships that you've had a while, it's hard to be like, all right, now there's a line here, because the other person's not used to it, you're not used to it. It's hard to keep keep it there without, being like, well, I guess, it's harder to maintain for you, and it's harder for those people to accept. But it's really important that you put them there regardless. And for me, my biggest challenge besides family, setting boundaries with family, has been setting boundaries with my friend. Um, we've been friends forever, and the addict that I was telling you about that I'm helping him figure out his boundaries, and he's never been good with boundaries, and I've never been good with boundaries. And so our relationship has been all sorts of chaotic toxicity, even though overall, it's been like a happy experience. It's been frustrating and difficult to maneuver through. And, you know, with him, it's been the hardest for me to set and maintain boundaries because I care so much about taking care of him. And I mean, I'm a natural nurturer. And I mean, that's been a big problem for me in most of my relationships. That's how it ends up becoming toxic because I'm not good at setting boundaries, at saying like this is my limit. This is where I stop on helping you. So it's been hard for me um, to establish, how far is too far when it comes to helping other people. You know, where do I need to draw the line so that I'm sure I am taking care of myself and my children and my life, to the best of my abilities. You know, I need to make sure that I'm maintaining my health and happiness so that I can put in effort to help other people. So, there needs to be a line where I'm like, you know, I'll help you up to this point, with these things or whatever, and then you're on your own. It's been it's been hard for me to, decipher what things are, his responsibility that he really needs to take care of himself, and where it would be beneficial for me to step in and help. Because I mean, also at some point, helping can be hurtful because the person isn't learning, and they aren't challenging themselves. They're not progressing at all because you're helping too much, and when it's depleting you and your life, then that's just double crap. But so it's been difficult. Trying to figure out where those lines are for me has been really difficult, but it's been one of the most beneficial things for our relationship, and it's given me the ability to step back and be like, this is where I need to take care of myself, so that I am happier and healthier, and I'm able to take care of what I need to take care of. And it's given me, you know, it's it's made me capable of also identifying the areas I where it would be the most beneficial for me to put in effort, opposed to just being like, here are all the things that you're asking for, like seeing where some requests for help aren't just where they aren't realistic, and where he really needs to put in his own time and effort, and I've been able to find ways where I can help him help himself. And that has been really beneficial for him, and that has been really beneficial for me. And I've been able to help him start learning more about setting boundaries and maintaining boundaries. And that's, I mean, we'll see how this progresses, but I feel like he's been able to do a lot more for himself, mentally, to help him move forward, and that's been great, you know. And that's the same kind of thing that you need in romantic relationships, and it's important in polyamory, especially when you have so many partners, or even when you don't have any or whatever. But it's important when you are opening yourself up to multiple connections that you are able to establish, where you need to draw the line with people. And it can be different with different people, and it can be cutting some people out completely, cutting some situations out completely. You really need to identify where the problems, like where they arise. You need, and when things do come up that haven't come up before, you have to be quick to be like, I'm going to state something right now. This is a new boundary for me, and you have to communicate that. Because if you don't communicate it, people aren't going to know. And you can't get super upset about somebody stepping over a boundary, crossing a boundary that they didn't know was there. Because boundaries are different for everybody. Other people aren't going to have the same boundaries that you do. And, so you really have to get good at, not only establishing your boundaries with yourself, and really getting to know yourself and what your boundaries are, but communicating those boundaries to everyone else and making sure that, you do what you need to do to maintain those boundaries. You know, that's the only way that you're going to be able to keep yourself happy and healthy. The only way you're going to be able to keep yourself safe, the only way you're going to be able to be successful in the ways that you want to be successful. So learning to set and maintain boundaries is very, very important, as is communicating them properly. And a part of polyamory is just constant discussion. You need to always be discussing things, even if you've talked about them before. Sometimes they need to be brought back up and talked about again because, people are constantly changing and growing, and you have to adapt to that, and you have to keep being willing to communicate about those changes so that you can adjust your relationships accordingly, and sometimes that means that relationships transition a little bit. Sometimes that means that relationships are going to end, but it's okay, and you are less affected by change when you are able to acknowledge boundaries of yourself and of other people, and respect yourself and respect the boundaries of other people. It's a much more peaceful you know realm of interaction with others when you're able to be respectful back and forth of people's boundaries. And I mean, that's I mean, beyond consent and all of that. I mean, boundaries and consent really can match up a lot. When it comes to consent, boundaries boundaries play a big role in whether or not you're willing to give consent, and that needs to be taken into account. Whether or not you are going up on somebody's boundary, whether you're breaching that boundary or it's just something that is like not right now. And so, it's important to communicate your boundaries, and it's important to learn about other people's boundaries, so that you don't overstep them, and so that you don't cause unnecessary trouble in your relationships and interactions with people. So boundaries are important. So Richard wanted to know if my queerness has made my journey through polyamory easier or more difficult. And I guess that all depends on which aspect of my queerness, which aspect of my queer identity you're referring to. In some respects, I feel that it is an easier transition because I am already outside of societal norms, so I don't feel as though I'm having as hard a time expanding on, going outside monogamous culture. So it's less of a drastic change. However, I will say that the homo aspect of my queer identity has made it more complicated in finding partners, because typically there are less lesbians in general, and then minimize that number for the amount of lesbians that are in the polyamorous community. Also with just the idea of that most women tend to be recruited into couples, as their unicorn. And since, I'm homo-romantic, but I'm not homosexual, I think that puts me in an awkward position to be prey for unicorn hunters. And it's just, I think just trying to find partners as a polyamorous woman is difficult in the first place. So I'm not sure that necessarily my queer identity is a big impact on that. But the fact that I'm not straight definitely impacts the way that the other people in the polyamorous community view me. So, I guess that would add difficulty to finding adequate partners. Beyond that, I don't think that it's made anything particularly more difficult for me, mainly just because I have a more
open view of polyamory, and I just naturally kind of connect with people where, connections form. So, I mean, having a queer identity doesn't impact my ability to connect with other people, although, I mean, I guess more intolerant people, it's an issue, but I don't want them in my life anyway. So my queer identity can help weed out some shitty people also, so that's helpful. But yeah, overall, I would say that my queer identity doesn't negatively impact my ability to find partners. So it doesn't necessarily make it more difficult going through polyamory, being polyamorous or whatever. But it definitely does affect different aspects in just the way that I approach polyamory, or that other people that are polyamorous approach me. But I don't, I haven't found it to make anything particularly more difficult, so that's my answer. Take it or leave it. Ciao.